We are on a Wednesday, and we are seeing spring weather gaining control. Hey, come Saturday, somebody could get to 80 degrees in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. Heavy rain and severe weather in parts of South Texas as moisture comes in off the Pacific. And we've got all sorts of severe weather that's possible over the weekend in parts of the U.S. and even in the Pacific Northwest. We're going to take a look at that as well. That is all straight ahead on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And rather than tell everybody about the Amazon link, I've pinned to the top of the chat board this week's episode of Weather Legends. You can watch it after the show, after this podcast is done. But if you haven't seen it yet, it's going to be once a week, and you'll have. I think you'll enjoy it. So please, by all means, when the show is done, and be sure to subscribe to the Weather Legends channel. Okay, and there you have it. Although I have to tell you, Joe, I'm very disappointed in the creator and the producer of Weather Legends, Rich Von Olin. I mean, where was the cheese platter? Where was the food spread? I mean, I'm waiting. Hello? Makeup and hair, all those things that really matter. I mean, after all, you and I are legends, maybe in our own mind, but we are legends.
Well, it's a little difficult in your case. You're all the way down in the deep south.
I don't think that's any excuse. In this day and age, you can DoorDash a cheese platter.
Well, what else can I say? We'll do
I
better
know.
next time.
So, as I said in the opening tease, I think there's a shot Saturday that somebody gets to 80.
I might have questioned you on that yesterday, but it looks like now that front, that wavering weather front, is going to be north of our area, and we're going to be in a west-southwest or southwesterly flow on Saturday.
And
And
a
with
pretty
enough
good one at that.
sunshine, yeah, we could see temperatures go for broke Saturday afternoon, perhaps.
No, I truly agree. Now, Sunday might be the day that the backdoor front sinks southward, at least for a little while.
It seems to me that of the two weekend days, the day that probably will have the better chance of getting any kind of precipitation would be Sunday, with that approaching backdoor front. And then the front looks like it's going to bounce back to the north on Monday with another front coming in, a cold front coming in from the west. That's the one that's going to generate, and we'll talk about this in greater detail, a widespread severe weather outbreak across the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic coast uh, for Sunday into Monday. And yeah, so it looks like it's going to be an active weekend overall.
That it is. Welcome tonight to everybody on the chat board and to those of you watching in the background. Welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And we are here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. And occasionally we'll throw in the Friday and Saturday, although now we have Weather Legends. So you can maybe on a Friday night when we're not doing our regular podcast, that might be a good time to take a look at it and become a regular there too. Subscribe, turn your notifications on so you don't miss us, and please, by all means, if you like the show, hit the like button. Shall we
Did you?
begin?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, there's Jason Schaefer's inquiring about whether uh, strawberries can be sent from edible arrangements, and my response is they must be California strawberries. I do not eat strawberries from just any state. Actually, Georgia strawberries are pretty good too. So, take your pick.
Strawberry
I'm being very difficult tonight.
strawberry
Well,
season, I think, however, is in June, isn't it? For this.
it's a little sooner. It's a little earlier here. I think they start popping up in May.
Okay.
Well, no matter. All right. Well, let's take a look at what's going on in the world of watches and warnings because hasn't been a whole lot of those. Actually, there's not a whole lot tonight. We should point out that there are red flag warnings up in northeast Georgia, northwestern South Carolina and western North Carolina. There are some small wildfires going on in parts of western North Carolina this evening. We also have red flag warnings up through central Virginia, up and down the state, and into central Maryland. It's been bone dry. 25% relative humidity here. Right now, my temperature's down to 58. I mean, I think we made it into the 60s today. We didn't quite get to 70, but it's the wind has also been blowing around at 20 to occasionally 30 miles an hour, which doesn't help the cause.
We
So
were
just
stuck in
be
the 40s much of the day here. Hey, and by the way, around 6 o'clock, as I was taking the dog out, we had maybe for about 5 minutes a brief and rather significant shower of snow grains, I guess you could call it, or grapple, or whatever. It just suddenly came out of nowhere and just down it came. No accumulation or anything, but it was it was most interesting. And the sun was out also at the same time,
you know
so it a little it
little
wasn't a
cold upper trough moving through.
yeah, yeah.
Well, we've got flood watches up in South Texas with subtropical moisture that's moving in there. Winter storm watches up for three counties in northeastern Minnesota. We've got winter storm warnings up for parts of the Cascades in Washington and Oregon, and a variety of other things, including wind advisories, high wind warnings, flood advisories due to melting snow, and winter weather advisories in two counties in northeastern California in the Sierra Nevadas. So everybody else is just pretty much sitting relatively calm and quiet. There's not a whole lot of precipitation going on. And as we look at the satellite loop going into this evening, uh, Joe's upper trough that he described, you can see the clouds moving through and now offshore. A little low last night, passed by to the east, but this upper trough kind of made the cloud covers stubborn by you.
Yeah, I'm just reading the chat board. I mean, did I not say that the snow or the snow grains didn't accumulate? Because I think William Jersey Shore said to my wife, "Did it stick? Are
So,
you recording it as a
ah,
trace?" No, it
no,
wasn't even.
45 degrees. Yeah, that's stuck. Sure.
I mean, it was hardly anything. I've seen cases of dandruff that accumulated more than what we had, earlier this evening. But any case, it was a chilly day, and that pretty much was the way the day ended with a little flaky weather. Temperatures didn't get out of the 40s.
Nice day, and from Virginia down into Florida today, although there was a tad of a chill in the air today because of the wind, but the sun alleviated that. Felt pretty good outside with temperatures into the 60s, and you can see the tropical moisture that's blossoming in South Texas and along the Texas coastal bend as they start to see some heavy rains developing. And then if you look on the upper left, there is a bit of a powerhouse. I want to see if I can get the satellite loop. Let me get the satellite loop in the northwest part of the U.S. and take a look at what U.S. Pacific coast will that work? Let's take a look, see if that will work. Oh, not out far enough. All right, let's go a little further. Let's try Northern Pacific. Okay, that's better. That's a nice looking low, Joe. Take a look at this.
Yeah, that's a
You know,
that's a stem winder. Whoa.
when when uh, when the Pacific jet, we haven't seen a lot of the storms in the. We certainly have. We saw very few of these in the Atlantic, the whole Atlantic, all winter long. There were some, but not like how the last few years. There's been just an absolute lack of storms overall, and we saw the end result because nothing was able to climb up the eastern seaboard. Everything got suppressed to the south. That is these Pacific storms. They get on the satellite. They really look very impressive.
And we mentioned, or at least I think you alluded to, the fact that at the start of our show tonight, that there was some severe weather in places that normally get it, like, for example, parts of Washington and Oregon. And I do believe that that's the first time that they ever had a threat of severe thunderstorm activity out there. Of going back to about the year 2012. So it's been a long time, been quite a while since they've seen any kind of activity along the lines of what they are experiencing or have experienced out in the Pacific Northwest.
There's some precipitation, might be snow, and certainly snow in the mountains there in northwest Oregon, and then moving up into Washington. And there's some heavier cells offshore. I'm not seeing any thunderstorms there. Meanwhile, in South Texas, we're seeing some heavy rains around San Antonio and also down along the coastal bend, not quite to Houston, but maybe over Austin and Victoria in inland areas. And then south of Corpus Christi, we're seeing a couple of bands of rain and one or two isolated thunderstorms in the mix there. In the Northeast, the upper trough is producing sort of a popcorny look of some snow showers in upstate New York. And I thought I saw, okay, I thought I saw a box, but I guess I was wrong. And also in eastern Maine and over into New Brunswick. And we've got a little bit of precip here that's streaming southeastward from southeast North Dakota down into Iowa, mostly on the light side. The Storm Prediction Center, where'd you go? Okay, I guess I didn't. I got to bring it up now. The Storm Prediction Center. So they actually, Joe, have a severe thunderstorm watch up for northwest Oregon and western Washington. Looks like it goes almost to Seattle, which is unusual, as you said. And that is a watch that actually went up not too long ago. What time is it now? It's 23:48. So it went up about an hour and a half ago. And it's I'll bring it up here on SPC, and you can see there's the counties involved, and there's the box that again doesn't quite go up. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, I take it back. Seattle does have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect at the moment. Okay, put that. I guess maybe we can add that on the list of weird things that have happened over the course of the last 3 or 4 years. The overall picture here is like this. We have a marginal to slight risk there in the Northwest. We have a marginal risk in South Texas away from the Gulf Coast, and a couple of smaller patches of general thunderstorms to the northeast and north. Then for tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center has a slight risk in South Texas with a marginal risk further to the north, almost to just about to Houston and going back almost to El Paso. We have a second area in northern Missouri and western Illinois, southern Iowa, and it turns into a slight risk in northwest Missouri, southeast, northeast Kansas, southeast Nebraska, southwest Iowa, and there's a small area of 2% tornado risk in that slight risk, and also a 2% tornado risk along the coastal bend in South Texas. Now, day three, showing a marginal risk from the coastal bend of Texas into Louisiana and southern Arkansas. Also, a marginal risk from Nebraska northeast to southern Minnesota and central Wisconsin. And on the long range, nothing on day four, but day five, they've left it alone. Same as it's been the last couple of days, Joe. The Ohio, the Tennessee Valley, the lower and middle Mississippi Valley, down to Louisiana and East Texas. And on day six, they actually pushed this a little bit further to the north. The 15% slight risk, almost, but not quite touching Cape May in southern New Jersey, but it does cover Delaware, southeastern Maryland, just about all of Virginia, right down the coast to northern Florida, and then back west to Mississippi and southeast Louisiana. So it looks like 2 days of risk here. I agree with you. That's probably going to be I'm going to be interested to see if they stick a enhanced risk tomorrow, which will be day four. The day five area becomes day four tomorrow, and I'm going to be curious to see if they add an enhanced risk in there.
Yes, and I still say, and I said this yesterday, that I suspect that when we finally do get to Monday, that the area or the zone of convection, that the tri-state area will probably be at least, at the very least, in a chance or risk of general thunderstorms. In fact, may even be marginal by then, and there probably will be in the Carolinas and maybe down into Georgia the possibility for a slight risk. I'm not sure if it would be enhanced, but they've been alluding to this now for the past couple of days, and so why not? Why not go for a chance for some thunder and lightning here in the tri-state area on Monday as that sharp front approaches and moves on through? Temperatures on Monday are likely to be on the balmy side in the 60s to maybe near 70, and then a sharp drop. Tuesday, we may see temperatures only near 50, so we're going to see a significant drop in the temperature behind that cold front. The passage of which will be again Monday night, and so so that looks like Monday will be an active weather day here, and as you pointed out, Joe, at the start, could be a rather warm day here as we get into that southwesterly or west southwesterly flow on Saturday with temps in the 70s and maybe in some spots challenging 80 degrees.
I'm thinking if I had to draw the marginal risk today, I would draw it. That's the purple line. So I would take it to just north of New York City, do about Route 84 maybe for the marginal risk. Guess a lot's going to depend on where that warm front is. If it backs, if it's going to be obviously to our north on Saturday, it backs down a bit on Sunday, maybe gets down to central or South Jersey. But if it winds up getting back up north, say north of Route 84, and if there's if that's the case and you get some sun before the showers and storms arrive, then maybe we can, maybe we will see at least a marginal risk for severe storms. And who knows? Maybe they'll push the slight risk up further north if that's the case.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right. So I'm going to go close up so everybody can sort of take a look at what's happening here. And I think we'll use the European. Because the European all along has been saying that this warm front was going to be to our north. Now, if you look at this is Saturday morning, okay? This is Saturday morning. So if just looking at how the isobars are set up, the frontal boundary to me looks like it's something like this. So we've got westerly winds here. This is at 10 o'clock Saturday morning. So all the precip is obviously north of that front, north of I-90 for the most part. So south of there, that's with especially where you got a decent gradient with a west wind or a west southwest wind. If you have sunshine, which you may very well have sunshine on Saturday and a good deal of it, I don't think there's much to stop it. Now, as we move into Saturday evening, the frontal boundary drops southward. Actually, on the European, Joe, this is at 8 o'clock. The frontal boundary drops down south of Long Island. Okay. So it's going to be moving southward as the day goes on. But it looks like the boundary, because then you get a wind shift more to the southeast going into Saturday evening. So that'll start to cool it down. And then when we get to Sunday, this is Sunday morning, and I'll just draw just kind of drawing it off the isobar. Looks like the front is cutting across southern New Jersey out into the Atlantic. So there's mostly east winds to the north. So this is Sunday's going to be a real fun day trying to figure out what the high temperatures are because you're going to be barely 50 on one side and 70 or better on the other. And as the day wears on, the winds kind of bend more southwest going into Sunday. So then we move into Monday, Joe. The warm front looks like on Monday is over, moves pretty far north. So this is Sunday evening where the Europeans got some showers and maybe even some scattered storms down around southeast PA, northeast Maryland, northern Delaware. And here we go into Monday. Monday, those showers move out, and then we wait for the cold front to arrive. And you can see the European does show patchy areas of showers and storms. I guess we could call them line segments, maybe, as they move eastward and come through sometime late in the afternoon and evening. So this would say to me that the marine influence is going to be minimal on Monday, and that poses the threat of severe, maybe some of these storms could very well get severe when they move on through.
And let's not forget one other weather element with that front wavering in our vicinity over the weekend. And if it does get to our south for a while, fog. I mean, that with
Yes.
a good easterly wind and the front close by, we could get into a really significant, patchy area of or patchy areas of dense fog. We had some very dense fog here yesterday in the morning. In fact, yeah, I should have taken a picture. I live not too far away. There's some rather tall hills, up to almost more than 1,000 feet, and it was very interesting, Joe. 6 o'clock in the morning, the bottom part of those hills and the top part free and clear, but right smack in the middle, some of the densest fog that you've ever seen. A real dense, thick pack of fog, and some of that fog uh, earlier was in our area. Renata was commenting when she looked out the window. She said you could barely see down the driveway. So fog may be another concern over the weekend, not necessarily for Saturday, but again on Sunday, if the front does indeed pass off to our south for a while and subside a bit before it lifts back up again and sets the stage on Monday for a warmer day and a possibly stormy day on Monday.
Now, for everybody else, you see low pressure there in Nebraska Saturday morning, and all that Texas convection moves up into Louisiana and then starts to fire up in the afternoon and evening, and then spreads up the Mississippi River Valley and even into parts of Illinois and Indiana. So the European is fairly bullish. And in fact, during the overnight into Sunday morning, it's got a pretty solid line of thunderstorms moving out of Alabama and over me. And, kind of down the boundary would be, say, the west side of the Appalachians. And then as we move through the day and the cold front moves eastward, you start to see that convective activity reach the coast come. So this is for Sunday night. So that's the first batch. And then, of course, then you got the main cold front that's going to come through, and that produces more storms across the deep south on Monday. You see them there. That's Monday morning in northwest Georgia through Alabama into Mississippi. And then gradually, as we go through the day, you see the convection starting to develop up into West Virginia, North Carolina, then further north into Pennsylvania and upstate New York. And then the front moves on through. And yeah, behind it is another decent shot of cold air. And then going into next week, it will chill down. Another low comes out of Colorado and Kansas, already down to an 84 low there in West Kansas. And then actually weakens a bit as it moves northeast. But you see snow up in Minnesota and the northern lakes, more convection breaking out from Indiana down into Texas. So there might be some severe weather risks setting up for the middle and latter part of next week with another front reaching the East Coast by the time we get to the end of the week. So, one after another, folks. Then that goes out, turns colder again behind it. And then we have a Gulf low here that runs up. Well, I'd like, if this winds up verifying like the European has, that's going to be some severe weather outbreak that would occur with a setup like this. Of course, it's still a long ways away, but it brings it up the Appalachians. And you see it there, and a pretty active area of rain and some heavy thunderstorms moving through the southeast. But we're now too far out in the long range to give it a whole lot of validity. But I think the idea that the pattern is busy with lots of with more than several opportunities for severe weather coming along across the central and eastern U.S. Over the next 10 days or more.
And when I look at that map, Joe, the one about possible severe weather early next week, I take a special note to the date. The date is April the 8th, and the area of heavy precipitation runs from like the Gulf all the way up along the eastern seaboard. And if you remember, we had that great total eclipse of the sun, which everybody was looking forward to last year on April the 8th. I'm so happy that this pattern is waited until this year
Yeah.
to to come because I tell you true, if I was looking at this last year, I would be shaking my head and saying, "There's no escape." I don't think anybody's going to see this eclipse. But yeah, it does look like a very active weather pattern for us in the coming week to 10 days, and we'll be here, Joe and Joe, watching it for everybody. It warms the cockles of my heart, by the way, looking at the chat board and seeing Harold Olson making an allusion to a story that I told on the Legends page. He said, "Snow Day Monday, Mr. Russo wasn't buying it. Love hearing these stories. Queens remembers it well." And if you're wondering now what Harold Olson is making a reference to, he's making a reference to one story that I told on the Legends page, and you could hear it for yourself if you tune in the Legends page, join it, and you can listen to all of us as we, throw stories around about how we began, what got us interested in weather and everything else. And like I said, it makes me very happy, Joe, that already we have people on the chat board who have already looked into that, and I hope a lot more will be looking into that in the days and weeks to come.
He also mentions the January 22nd, 1987 storm, which is really interesting because that particular one was a very, very intense and very tightly wrapped low that came up the coast and crossed central Long Island, like basically cut Long Island in half. But it was so tight and so wrapped up that you had to be literally along and east of the path of the low center to see a changeover to rain, and that screwed up a lot of forecasts that were issued with that. And I was very happy because I remember distinctly going for 5 to 8 inches before there would be any changeover to rain, and that's pretty much how it played out. I was, a little bit of a forecast coup for me. So I always remember those little events where everybody else was going one way and I was going the other. But brought back a nice professional memory for me too. Okay, are you Briller Jeopardy tonight?
Yeah. By the way, you want to feel old, Joe?
Yes.
Let's see. William Jersey Shore. What is the Lindsay Storm?
Oh, please don't stop. Go away.
All
Um, go away.
right. Okay. Um, so let me just
Look
get.
it up. It's on Wikipedia.
Yes, exactly. It is actually.
Yeah.
So let me just get Scott's. Oh, come on. Would you please? I'll try this again. Come on, come on, come on. Here we go. So, on this Briller Jeopardy, the average high temperatures in the month of March, and we have five different locations here. Starting, this is now the average high temperature in March. We'll start with Central Park.
Okay. Hold on. So 44, 56. I will say 50.
And one bell ring for Mr. C. There you go, Joe. You get it right on the nose. Central Park, 50 degrees. How about Philadelphia,
Um,
city of brotherly love?
I will say for Philly, I will say 52.
Missed it, Joe. You're in Snake Country, but
Eh,
Tyler Fengo also said 52. However, we have winners already. We have Vincent Croce and Mike Waterhouse Bonsai with 53, and same for Frank R. 53 for Philadelphia. Ken Musillo as well, and Christianapedia 53. So there
I
you go.
was debating.
Yes.
I was debating to go 52 or 53. So obviously I went
And
low.
Mrs. Hutch 53 had 53. 53 is the magic number tonight. How about Kansas City? Kansas City, Kansas City. Here.
Oh, God. Oh, Kansas City. That's tough because they do sometimes get into some big heat early every once in a while in March, and they also can get the big cold, which would cancel that out. I will say 56.
It's a good guess. It's not
It's the
just
wrong guess.
it's too warm though.
It is too warm.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Jason Fox said 54,
That's
and
that's
Vincent Croce said 52.
well, you guys are like dancing around the answer here with 52 and 54.
All right,
Does that
so then
give you
we
an
know
idea
that
what
the
it is?
answer is 53.
53. 53 degrees in Kansas City, the average high temperature in March. How about the Steel City, Pittsburgh?
All right, I said New York was 50. I'll say for Pittsburgh 48.
Once again, Joe, Snake Country.
Uh,
For you,
Vincent Croce said 47,
that's a little bit too far.
and Mike Ken Musillo said 49.
So did Brady G 111, and 49 it is. Pittsburgh, 49 degrees.
Ring the bell for these persons.
Why not? Why not? We're not ringing the bell. It's been a while since we hit 100
Yeah,
likes, but we want
snowstorms
to
are not
be quiet.
around, so
It's a
most people
quiet
go
time.
into hiding.
Yeah. Number 5, Mary Richards' favorite town, Minneapolis,
Minneapolis. Oh God. Hmm. Ah, what was Kansas City again?
53.
I'll say 44.
Just a tad too warm, Joe, but Frank R. got it. Frank R. with 42.
I was thinking 42, and then I chickened out.
And here our bonus location tonight, average high temperature in March, Nantucket.
Nantucket. All right, New York City is 50. Nantucket, I'll say, 'cause they got the old cold ocean too. So, um, 47.
Too warm, Joe, but we already have Mike Waterhouse Bonsai with 44. And,
44. Okay, well,
and Rich Mansky with 44. All you guys get a bell ring for that. So
okay.
congratulations.
So anyway, it was a busy day today because I had to go to the dog. Today was the monthly dog luncheon at Mariolino's Italian restaurant in Murphy, North Carolina. I, by mistake, went to Mariolino's in Hayesville, North Carolina, which is about 20 minutes out of the way. But, that's what happens when you trust your GPS. So I got to lunch a little bit late. And that's why I, got to the show, the taping about 11 minutes in.
Now,
So,
now, JJ goes with you to these
no,
things?
no, no. This is for this is for the humans.
Oh, okay.
So we went to the dog park this morning, and he went to and play. Yeah, we temporarily took an internet hit, folks. Sorry about that. Um, anyway, we should be back.
The Circle of Doom. What do you want?
Okay, and we're back. Everybody's seeing us back. Yeah, I just took some sort of hit. It happens. Yeah, so it was a lunch for the humans. So I had a calzone. I haven't had a calzone in years. So it was actually pretty good.
Well, very good for
Yeah.
you.
It's hard to trust Italian restaurants in this area, but to tell you the truth, I've been now to two of them, and they were both okay. I'm not going to say great because you know, I'm scarred by the fact that I grew up Italian, so I know what great is.
Yes.
But they were okay. They were good. They were good. I think they were acceptable. Let's say that they were acceptable to us. No, Patrick Darcy, not the Olive Garden. Oh, good God, no. Oh,
Oh, dear me. Well,
somebody
we'll be
said
back.
here they were hoping. Somebody said in front of me that they were hoping that an Olive Garden would open up here, and I would say I will be the first one to lead the protests. course, they're probably watching the show as we speak, but no matter. No, I do not eat Domino's pizza down here. We actually have, believe it or not, I've mentioned this before, in Blue Ridge, which is the neighboring town here. They have a pizza place there, Cucinella's, and it's actually one of the best pizzas I've ever had. It's every bit as good as any pizza I've had on Long Island and in New York City. They really make a very good New York style pizza. And even the place, Joe, is actually, when you walk into it, you'd think you were in a pizzeria in New York. You know, that
Mm,
old 50s style furniture, everything linoleum, that kind of thing.
yeah.
And the old fashioned
Now,
metal dining room tables.
hmm.
It has had the metal chrome going around the edges. Uh,
Now, is
it,
there?
it, it has a very
Yeah.
much has a New York feel. The pizza there in Blue Ridge, Cucinella's, is very good.
Now, right next door, is there a butcher with sawdust on the floor?
No, actually, there is a butcher here that I do go to that has. There's a couple of them that I've been to where, um, there's that sawdust feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always used to love as a kid to go to the butcher's because he would always give me a couple of slices of boar's head bologna, and there
Oh,
was sawdust all over the floor. And just the butcher shops had that nice smell to it. And then from there we'd go to the fish market,
oh, of course.
you know, where
Now,
you'd
this
see
is
some.
you get
There
a
would
big.
always be some overweight Italian guy coming out with a big tub filled with ice cubes, and he would be throwing it on the fish to keep it fresh because the fish would just lay out there. This is back in the '60s when not
Right.
even the best stores didn't have enough refrigeration in order to keep fish cold, so they would put it out and they would just continually throw ice on it.
William Jersey Shore doesn't understand any of this. Sawdust on the floor, and they eat the meat. You're from a different generation,
Yeah, you have no clue.
so you'd have. But
Unless it's wrapped in. You know what I can't stand though is, and I hate it when you go to when you buy meat in the supermarket. Some of the some of it is packaged in the plastic that they pack it in so tightly. They put it in these airtight plastic that you can't. It's very difficult to get the darn things open. But I
right.
do love when I go to the local butcher because they wrap the meat in the butcher paper, which is a whole lot different than pulling it out of a an air sealed plastic. Yeah, they have no clue. They're too young.
You're bringing tears to my. I'm thinking back to you know the quote old neighborhood on East Tremont Avenue in the Bronx, where we had Mackley, which was the butcher, and J.C. Market, which was the fish store, and the pizza parlor down the road. It was a great place. I'm so happy that we grew up when we did in that
Oh
particular.
yeah.
It was a wonderful time to be a kid in the Bronx. So
Well, I was in East Harlem before I went into the Bronx. Well, so were you. There was a butcher on Second Avenue, as I lived on Second Avenue and 119th Street, and the butcher was like right downstairs. He was like two stores down,
yeah,
and I actually have very fond memories of, like I said, when we went to the butcher shop, he'd always give me like a couple of slices of boar's head bologna. But he was like this very big guy, maybe 6'4",
yeah.
redheaded beard, Italian guy. He was such a
Yeah.
nice man. And remember being really sad because right before we moved, apparently he had passed away from a heart attack. And he was just such a nice man. It just brought you talking about this has brought back that memory. And
Well,
I also remember too there was a pork store that the my grandmother would go and she would always get into a fight with the guy behind the counter accusing him of putting that he would she would accuse him of putting his finger on the scale. He was as only an Italian woman could with passion could do it. I couldn't even give justice to how she would scream at him. to get his finger off the scale and accusing him of charging her too much for something. Just too the stuff that's just too funny. All right. Anyway, let's put an end to this and tell everybody that we should be back here tomorrow night at 7:35 p.m. Eastern time. So hope everybody had a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
And you see quickly what differentiates Joe and Joe from other weather shows. What other weather show would end with cold cuts and baloney?
That's right. Exactly.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.